Okay, lesson 1.1 continued. Nutrient cycling and human impact. This was a part of a different lesson at one point, but it is lesson 1.1, nutrient cycling and human impact, biology B. All right, so these are some of the things you'll learn in this particular lesson. Ecosystems change over time due to interaction and relationships between abiotic and biotic factors. If you remember, abiotic factors are not living and biotic factors are living things. So a rock is considered not living and a moth is considered living. All right, through the energy flow cycle of matter and limiting factors, how do ecosystems change over time? How and why do populations change throughout time? How do humans and human activity affect those ecosystems? How can the diversity of life be understood throughout evolutionary relationships? How does cycling of matter occur at all levels of biological organization? And how does the flow of energy occur at all levels? Okay, summarize the human effects on nutrient cycles. For example, water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. If you look at the picture here, you can see there's a lot going on, and this happens on a regular basis. All right, we have certain things that are going to go up in the air and certain things that go down, whether they are trapped in the ocean, trapped in the soil, trapped in a plant. Those types of things we'll take a look at and see how they get cycled. But the cycling portion of this is very important. Unlike our retail system, where right now we basically take stuff out of the ground, build it, you get it as the form of an iPhone, and then you throw it away after a while. So that's not being recycled for the most part. So that cycle is linear. This is, in this system, we are having a cyclical situation where we're constantly building, breaking down, and then building again. So we constantly can reuse. And that's important that that continues to happen. Things like what you see on the right here, those are impacting that cyclical nature of those particular items that you see: water, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus. This process breaks down when we don't take care of our planet very well. So the cycling or recycling of nutrients is a critical process for the ecosystem. Nutrients can be used over and reused over and over. If it was a linear system, nutrients would eventually run out, right? So we don't want that to happen. Water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus are some of these cyclical nutrient systems that we need to continue to see and have. 2 secrets of survival: energy flow, matter, recycling. All matter cycles. It is neither created nor destroyed. We learned that back in 7th grade. As the Earth is essentially a closed system with respect to matter, there's nothing coming in, nothing leaving, basically. This is all we got. This is our one spaceship, and we got to live on it. We can say that all matter on Earth cycles, biogeochemical cycles, the movement or cycling of matter through a system. And this ecosystem survives, through a couple different things. Global cycles recycle the nutrients through the Earth's air, land, water, and living things. Nutrients are the elements and compounds that organisms need to live, grow, and reproduce. And the biogeochemical cycles move through these substances through air, water, soil, rock, living organisms. Okay, so if you look at the picture, starting at the top, you have the abiotic, non-living things that are important, like carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, minerals. These are all important for whether it be breathing, for plants to produce carbohydrates for us. The nitrogen is necessary for the plants to grow, all these different kinds of things. So they come out of the atmosphere and sometimes are being used in plants. The plants are going to then be eaten by herbivores like a zebra. If the zebra dies or they go to the bathroom, we have decomposers that help to turn the big molecules back into smaller abiotic chemicals that potentially go back in the atmosphere, and then we'll start the whole process again. Water, unique properties. There are strong forces of attraction between water molecules. That's why when you dive off a diving board and you land on your belly, it does not feel good. Water exists as a liquid over a wide temperature range, right? So water freezes at 0 and water turns into a gas at 100. So it's a pretty big range in which it is liquid. Liquid water changes temperature very slowly. That's why if you look at a coastal area in the summertime, it's not quite as hot as the inland because the cool breeze is coming off the water because it's cooler than the air. And then in the wintertime, it's not as cold because the warmer water tends to have a warmer breeze come across the coast because it takes a lot of energy to put heat into water and for that energy to leave the water and the heat to leave the water. So water exists as a liquid over a wide temperature range. Liquid water changes temperature slowly. It takes a large amount of energy for water to evaporate. Liquid water can dissolve a variety of compounds. It's a universal solvent. Water expands when it freezes, which is very interesting because it floats. Most solids float. Most solids will sink. Okay, so here you see the water cycle, pretty simple stuff. It goes up, it goes down, that type of thing. Effects of human activities on the water cycle. We alter the water cycle by withdrawing large amounts of fresh water, clearing vegetation and eroding soils, polluting surface and underground water, contributing to climate change. Okay, the carbon cycle. What are the forms of carbon on our planet? And carbon dioxide and sugars are the big ones. How are these forms cycled? Photosynthesis is, if you look at the photosynthesis equation, if you look at it from left to right, where you have carbon dioxide, water, a little bit of energy, makes sugar and some oxygen. And then you look at it the other direction, where we eat the sugars and we breathe in oxygen and we release carbon dioxide and some energy and some water, right? Photosynthesis is the one direction where we put it together, and cellular respiration is the other way where we break it apart. Life on Earth is carbon-based. Carbon is a lively element that readily combines with other elements to make organic compounds. A lot of your body and every body is made of carbon. Some carbon parts of your body right now were parts of living things not very long ago. Plants through photosynthesis make carbohydrates that animals eat for food. You eat the plant's salad, bread, or pasta, or another animal, cow, ate the plants, then you ate the animal, meatballs. Pretty soon the carbon that was part of the grass became part of you. So you can do it directly by eating the pasta, or indirectly by eating the cow, which had eaten the grass. Effects of human activities on the carbon cycle. We alter the carbon cycle by adding CO2 to the atmosphere. Burning fossil fuels. If you think how you got to school today, or how you get around in a vehicle, the gas that you are burning to get that car moving or the bus moving or what have you, had carbon that was captured by the plant millions of years ago, and the energy from the sun put those carbons together to make a carbohydrate that was fossilized into a fuel. So that's been trapped in the gas for millions of years and not in the atmosphere. When we take and put it in our car, we have now burned it and put the CO2 back in the atmosphere. So all this gas that we have been burning over the years has been trapped and now it's back in the atmosphere. Clearing vegetation faster than it is replaced. So if we chop down trees, right, which capture carbon from the atmosphere, they take in the CO2, and then you don't replace that forest, that's no longer an opportunity to pull the CO2 out of the atmosphere, which creates a problem. Nitrogen cycle, very important for plants. Nitrogen cycle has two major beginnings and two major paths. The nitrogen from the soil are fixed, right? They're nitrogen fixing bacteria to a form of nitrogen that is important to plants. They're taken up by the plants, and then the plants are eaten by the animals. The animals go to the bathroom or the animals die and they're decomposed. That nitrogen gets put back into the system. Nitrogen from dead organisms to decomposers to nitrifying bacteria to plants is another pathway. So there's two different major pathways that we can cycle nitrogen. If you look at the pictures there, you can see the importance of bacteria in nitrogen cycle. They're interrelated. Some of these talented bacteria interlive with legumes, right, such as beans. These take nitrogen out of the air and in the soils. Other bacteria live freely in the soil, processing manure and urine, and also helping to decompose dead plants and animals. A third kind of bacteria lives in the soil and fixes nitrogen into nitrates, which plants can use. Without these nitrifying bacteria, agricultural fertilizers do not work. So you just can't shoot down the nitrogen. You got to have the bacteria available for the plants to convert the nitrogen into nitrates in useful forms. The effects of human cycles on the nitrogen cycle. We alter nitrogen cycle by adding gases that contribute to acid rain, adding nitrous oxide to the atmosphere through farming practices which can warm the atmosphere and deplete the ozone, contaminating groundwater from nitrate ions in inorganic fertilizers, and releasing the nitrogen into the troposphere through deforestation. So if you look at the graph in 1920 to 2000, right, nitrogen fixation by human processes has been increasing at a dramatic rate. So we're making more than the nature is producing. Human activities such as production of fertilizer now fix more nitrogen than all natural sources combined. It's because we have to feed more people, so we need to have more crops per acre. So we have to put more nitrogen down. Importance of phosphorus. Phosphorus is an essential nutrient of both plants and animals, part of the cell membrane, part of DNA. It's part of the DNA molecules which carry genetic information. It's part of ATP and ADP. Those are your energy, your batteries that store chemical energy for use by organisms in the cellular respiration. Forms phospholipids and cell membranes of plants, animals, cells. Forms bones, teeth, shells of animals as calcium phosphate compounds. If you look at the image, you can see how it is cycled. How do we impact it? Humans mine large quantities of phosphate rock to use in commercial fertilizers and detergents. I believe Scotts Lawn and a few of these fertilizer companies is no longer putting phosphorus into their fertilizer because it does cause some issues with the water and having it be too nutritious and the algae grows crazy and all that kind of stuff. So phosphorus is not found as a gas, only as a solid in the Earth's crust. It takes millions to hundreds of millions of years to replenish. Phosphorus is held in the tissue of trees and vegetation, not in the soil. And as we deforest the land, we remove the ability for phosphorus to replenish globally. Cultural eutrophication. Eutrophication means too many nutrients. Add excess phosphate to aquatic ecosystems in the runoff of animal waste from livestock feedlots, runoff of commercial phosphate fertilizer from cropland, and discharge of municipal sewage are ways to which we are impacting it. And that is it for this lesson.